It is day 24 of shelter in place. It feels like it's another day. I don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'm just in my own zone, in my own vibe. Hopefully, um, there's no lag. I was having some internet problems. There might be a little lag here, and I apologize for that. There are some issues that I'm working out. There's some bugs, but you know how it is. Like I said, I'm sorry if I'm not coming in very crisp and clear. I'll make sure to go ahead and get that done tomorrow or the day after. But this is going to be a quick one. It is Monday motivation. It's getting crazy out there. It is. So I hope you guys are in your house, in your apartment for the next 2 weeks. It's sad. I feel sad for the people that have been affected by COVID, and I hope whoever does get infected recover without an issue. But since it is Motivation Mondays, let me just say that I always like starting off with a book on Mondays. So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, one of my favorite authors. I recommend it for to anyone. Again, So Good They Can't Ignore You. Now, for me, Cal Newport has written numerous books that I absolutely love and I would recommend, and I'm going to show in a couple of minutes. Another book, my literally my favorite book, which is Deep Work, and then I'll go into another site that has a nice write up on that and mastery. But I was late, first of all, because of me trying to secure Santiago Lopez. I hope he's tuning in. I'm a little late because of you. I had a 20-minute conversation, and he was saying he needed a haircut to look jiggy before he got in live stream, and I understand that. I haven't gotten a haircut for over a month already. I'm thinking about just shaving it bald. But yeah, so next week he promised he's gonna come on here and we're gonna talk about all things Bug Bounty and how he got started. And I'm sure that one is gonna go on for like an hour and a half. Now, with that being said, I said I was gonna share out my screen, and I'm gonna do that. Um, that was yesterday's podcast, that live stream. But hopefully you guys can see it. It should be coming up. There's a little delay. Like I said, the internet is very slow. This is my favorite book. I think it might be my favorite book of all time, Deep Work by Cal Newport. I would recommend you read So Good They Can't Ignore You first, and then Deep Work. Deep Work, there's so many nuggets in there, and I read it at least once a year. It's about mastering your craft in this distracted world, how to get into a zone, how to tackle content. And I was going to say, when you learn there's a process, and he goes deep into that process and how you should like go deep. A lot of people, I want to say, go wide and not deep, or clouds to dirt. uh, this book will get you to that next level. And a big shout out to Azaria, and I would definitely recommend that you go to her blog, Azaria Labs, and read the process of mastering a skill. And she goes in, it's almost a summary of the mastery by Robert Greene, which I recommend to read, but it is very long. If you ever read one of Robert Greene's book, it's over 1,000 pages. Deep Work is 300 pages, and he goes in deep, and I love it. I will recommend it. Like I said, I read it once a year. It is one of my favorite books, definitely top three. But I would recommend you going into this and reading. This is well thought out. The graphics are nice. She goes into the stages, and this is basically Deep Work in a nutshell. And yeah, it's a quick hitter today. I will let you know I am on the grind. After this, I'm gonna go in and probably code until maybe 10 or 11. I'm feeling in a zone today. Today is definitely one of those days that I feel like I could go ahead and really get work done. Um, if you guys seen, all right, let me switch. If you guys seen this week, for the next 2 weeks, it's supposed to get really, really bad in the U.S. I recommend maybe even, around the world, but that's what they're saying. So for me, I'm looking at these next 2 weeks as I'm going very hard. I'm not leaving my house. I went out earlier today and got all the stuff that I needed with gloves and my N95 mask, and I'm locking myself in. I feel like I'm in a lab. Last Wednesday, Chris had mentioned Chris Cochran. If you don't see it, if you haven't seen that one, go and see it. It's an awesome live stream. But he went into how Isaac Newton went and created his best work through the bubonic plague. And I'm not saying that we're in that time, but I did see something today that reminded me of it. There was a church that where Jesus Christ was buried and he resurrected. Right? It's the first time they closed those doors and they locked that church since the bubonic plague. So that was interesting, and that made me think. I said to myself, okay, all right, I'm locking in. I'm gonna create some tasks, and I'm gonna go tilt for the next 2 weeks. So when I wake up until I go to sleep and then have exercise in between, stay motivated, hydrated, coffee, food, just everything is going to be driven by the work that I'm going to do the next 2 weeks. And that's what I'm hoping. I feel sometimes that there's a lot of information overload for me. I have so many things to do that it just feels like it's just a lot. It's too much. But what I do when I feel like that is try to do a brain dump, and then I categorize them into A, B, C, D, and E. A is a must. I must do that. B comes after A, of course. C, can I pawn it off to someone else? And then D is like someone else do it. E, it's not even that important. And that's how I structure what I need to do in my priorities. Yeah, it's all about the grind. That's why I say Motivation Mondays. There's sometimes I go into this mode of, I call it the Goggins mode, where I go to YouTube and look for motivational things of David Goggins, and I would recommend you read his book too. You Can't Hurt Me, because what his whole stance on like getting to that next level is do something that you hate or that sucks every single day, so then you could push that barrier of pain when you're either learning or you don't want to do something. It gets you through those barriers when you're feeling uncomfortable. I don't know, a lot of times I'm starting to see it with the mentee. And this happens to me, and when I teach it I feel like I am repeating it to myself. A lot of times the mentee hitting this wall, and it's a frustration wall, and he's upset, and I'm like, you got to figure out why you feel that way. What is it that's hard that you can't get through? And once you start figuring out and you start dissecting and reverse engineering those issues, everything to me becomes much easier. And that's the way I feel. There's a lot of times I always tell them the same thing, and I would tell you guys the same thing. When you're working, some people are marathon runners, right? They can work like literally 3 to 4 hours straight, right? That's not me. I need breaks in between, and I need them frequently. Not long breaks, 5 minute. It's like you're doing curls with your biceps, but you're doing it with your brain. So you need to give it a rest, and that's what works for me. And that's what I would say. Go hard. Take no fucking prisoners. Guillotine season's upon us. take that work, kick it in the ass, and move on to your next goal. And with that, today's show is done.